Good morning, guys. A week ago today, the ship box like damn near burnt down. I mean, a ton of fuses blew in it. Smoke pouring out the gauge cluster, and I had a little time off work yesterday. And I got most things going. We got ugly headlights in it. Regular old like glass halogens, but got the fan working. Yeah, so she's back on the road. And today's the last day I get to drive her with the Pride subs in it. So I definitely wanted to drive it before I pulled them out. But yeah, so let's get on today's video. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm taking the Prides out tomorrow and putting them in the wife's Blazer. And the following weekend, I'll be putting some different subs in here. But if you want a demo from this thing, November 27th is the Team Hertz Donut Show. It's a Base Wars event. It'll be in Aner, South Carolina. I'll try to throw a flyer in somewhere like, I don't know. Should be a great time. I mean, we got Chris Lee coming, you know, so if you can get Chris Lee to come to an event, that's pretty good. I mean, actually, he's a buddy of mine, and he said he'll be there. And he's bringing a couple people with him, so yeah. It's going to be a loud event if Chris Lee's there. That's for damn sure. But anyway, guys, that'll be the last show that this thing is at in its current configuration. I'm going to rip everything out and start over. But anyway, let's just talk a little bit about subwoofers. You know, I've kind of talked before about subwoofer, like how a big ass motor don't mean a whole lot. And that keeps turning out to be true the more testing I do of different subwoofers. Like my buddy Zach Smith, Team Resilient Sounds, and he tried Resilient Sound Teams, and I mean, he'll tell you point blank, he does not like them. The Platinum's a way better sub. Smaller motor, and the Platinums are holding more power than he could get on the Team. So that says a lot, and they're a hell of a lot more efficient. So it is what it is, but we're going to talk about ohms, and I just wanted to do a quick video to kind of cover everything for people that are new to this all in one. You know, how if you take a subwoofer that's a dual 4 ohm coil, now you can wire them in series where you use the positive from this coil, the negative from that one, connect the other two leads. Now you have an 8 ohm sub. But you can also take that dual 4 and you can hook the two positives together from this coil, hook them to the amp, and hook the two negatives together. Now you have a 2 ohm sub. So a dual 4 ohm sub will never be a 4 ohm sub. You can only wire it at 8 or 2. And if you have 2 of them, then you either have a 16 ohm load or a 1 ohm load. And I know it's tricky for a lot of people to grasp, because they're like, you know, I have a dual 2 and a dual 4. Can I run them together? And yeah, you can run them together, but it ain't going to work. Because no matter how you wire it, you're going to wind up with a different ohm load. And, you know, amplifier power, it takes the path of least resistance. So what's going to happen is the sub that's got the lower ohm load is going to get the majority of the power. It won't distribute evenly if they were all the same. Now that we've kind of gotten that out of the way, we're going to roll into, and that's kind of why you can't run different ohm loads together. And, you know, it's not ever a good idea to have like 2 10s and a 12 sharing the same airspace. You know, that bigger cone moving will affect the other two and kind of bully them in there per se. And especially if you got decent power on it, that 12 will kind of take over the movement of the 10s, and you're going to lose cone control on them, and they're going to wind up blowing pretty easy or ripping surround or something. But we're going to jump into, yeah, I forgot. I don't know. No. I've had the question pop up before of like, hey, especially hard to find subs. They're like, I got 3 of such and such sub. It'd be what they want to run, and they found a 4th, but theirs are dual 2 and that one's a dual 4. Can you use it? And hard to find subs like that. A lot of times, you're buying it used. Yeah, you can use it, but you're going to have to recone it. The only way you can change ohm load on a subwoofer is to recone it. And a lot of times it's better, especially if you're buying a used sub that you haven't heard play. It's definitely a good idea to recone, especially if the sub's worth something or hard to find. But then you run into the issue of you got 3 subs that are older that you've been playing a while. All the soft parts are loosened up, and then you got a brand new one you're putting in there. Because when you recone a sub, dude, the sub's brand new at that point. The only way you're going to mess up a motor and basket to make them not new condition is if the motor gets bumped around and, you knock the center pole in there off a position, off to one side. You shift it. If the center pole ain't shifted in there or the motors ain't shifted, it's still brand new. I mean, it ain't brand new, but it's hard to screw it up, It'll perform just like brand new. So, it's only when you recone a sub, yeah, they're brand new, but, in that situation, you'd have 3 that are loose and 1 that's tight as hell. And I don't have patience to set a subwoofer on a table hooked up to a small amplifier, to a battery and a head unit or whatever, and let it sit there for 2 days playing 20 hertz. At low volume to stretch it, I like to just throw them in and go, but really, you got to put a lot of playtime on it to get it loosened to where the other ones would be at, if it'll get that loose, I mean, it would over a long, long period of time, but there's that. And then the other thing we could talk about is, and this is something that I've noticed, we're getting a little bit off topic, but it is subwoofer. Ohms. Now, my wife's car each amplifier is wired to a 1/2 ohm. We played her subs. They got pretty hot at the Ruckus show. I grabbed a multimeter and went to the amplifiers to get to the speaker leads and ohm everything. And they were all ohming out around 1.6. And you're like, what the hell? How can they, if they're wired at a 1/2, catch with everything turned off? They were all around the 1.6 mark. And that is how heat affects everything. I mean, they wasn't super, super hot, but they were hot, But that's just how much heat affected the ohm reading on them. After they cooled down, they all kind of, went right back to where they were supposed to. But heat definitely will affect it. So that's why a lot of people prefer to do runs in the lane when they first get to a show before they play their system at all, because think about your amplifiers rated to do, say, 3,000 watts at 1 ohm. You're going to get a little more. You might get 4,000, 4,200 if you're wired down to a 1/2, which is more power, which is what you want. But you give 30 demos that day, and then, you pull up to run in the lanes, and now your voice coils are going from reading a 1/2 to 1.5, So now your 3K, instead of putting out that 4,200 you get from wiring down to a 1/2, you're starting at 2,000 watts, if that, it would probably be a little less than 2,000. So that's how heat affects things, and that's why guys prefer to run through the lanes with everything cold. It was kind of new to me how it reacted that much. I mean, I knew there'd be some difference, but I didn't think there would be that much of a difference. So take it for what it's worth. If you compete, definitely run through the lane code, or do your own testing. Get out there and, play 4 songs, getting into it like you would when you demo, and get your multimeter and do a ohm reading before you play while it's cold. do an ohm reading right after you cut it off, and let me know how yours react, because that was surprising to me. I wasn't really expecting it to be that much of a difference with warm coil, or well, hot coil. So anyway, everybody, I'm gonna get out here and enjoy driving this shit box a little more. Y'all take care, everybody. Peace out. Come to our show. I'm putting the flyer up. I mean, it's gonna be in this video. So yeah, come check out our show if you're in the area. Peace out, everybody. Bass on.